Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Am I the Asshole? If you like hearing Reddit stories, it would really support the channel if you could give it a thumbs up or subscribe. Let's dive into our first story. Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my niece at the last minute? I work full-time and recently started taking evening classes to finish my degree. My schedule is packed, and I rely on my evenings to study or attend classes. My sister Emily has a 4-year-old daughter named Lila. I love my niece, and I've babysat her many times when she asks in advance. Last week, Emily called me about an hour before my class to ask if I could watch Lila for a few hours. She said she and her husband both had work emergencies. I told her I had an important class that evening, which included a review session for an upcoming exam. I apologized, but said I couldn't miss it, and she would need to figure something else out. Emily ended up calling our mom, who was able to go over and watch Lila. Now she is upset with me and says I was selfish for not helping when she really needed it. She said she would not have asked unless it was a real emergency. My mom also mentioned that I could have made it work since Emily has a lot on her plate with her job and being a mom. I feel bad for saying no, but I also feel like I had a valid reason. Am I the asshole to stick to my plans instead of helping her? Not the asshole. You had plans already. You have your own life that doesn't stop just because Emily needs a last-minute sitter. Besides, she obviously had at least one other person she could ask. Also, she and her husband both had work emergencies at the same time. Do they work together or something? And how big of a work emergency are we talking? Because I can understand dropping everything if a loved one was being rushed to the hospital or something, but if it's a work emergency, like a client will pull out of the deal unless you meet with them ASAP, then no, I'm not skipping a class for that. That's what I was thinking too. I felt bad, but I really couldn't drop everything last minute for something like that. No need to feel bad. She ended up getting the help she needed. Not the asshole. Know who else has a lot on their plate? You. You have a lot. You are working full-time and taking classes to boot. This is finals time. You have to prioritize staying on top of work, studying, and your own health so you can get through the next few weeks. Not the asshole, give me a break. So, she decided to have a child, and now anyone who doesn't drop their own life to help her is a bad person? You know what? You want to have a child? Make sure you can manage that in your life and you can afford to be out of work to care for them or afford daycare. The end. Nobody else is responsible for your child. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my brother back for things that he said I could have? To cut a very, very long story short, I was raised by my grandma and believed she was my mother until I was 11, until I was 13, when social services got involved and felt she could no longer care for me properly, and I was going to be placed with a foster family. My older brother, who's actually my uncle, had already moved out, gave me a few things before I left. These things were a PS2, a few games, an old electric guitar and amp, 2 pairs of jeans, and a hoodie. My foster parents already owned an Xbox 360, and I also found a PS2 Slim and some more games by an elderly neighbor when I helped him clear out his attic, and he said I could keep them, so I never really used the PS2. My brother gave me, and the first Christmas I was with my foster parents, they bought me a new electric guitar and amp. Once I hit 14, my boobs went from an A cup to a DD in a year, so the hoodie didn't fit anymore. And when I was 15, my hips and ass came in too, so the jeans no longer fit either. My brother's stuff all got stored in the garage, but unfortunately, they all got ruined during a flood. My foster parents showed me what a loving, caring family was really like, and ended up adopting me when I was 16. And I now consider them my parents, and I love them very much. However, a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to try to reconnect with my grandma. And we've now developed a more normal relationship, and she seemed genuinely remorseful over what happened, and her lack of contact over the years. But I hadn't seen my brother until recently when he showed up whilst I was visiting. Initially, it was really nice, and we talked about how the past few years had been for the both of us, and I was happy until he said, "So can I have my stuff back now?" I asked what he meant, and he said, "You know the stuff I gave you when you left? The PS2, the games, the clothes, my guitar. I replied with, "Oh, them. Well, you said I could have them, not borrow them, so I considered them to be gifts." He said, "Look, I only gave them to you because I felt sorry for you. Just give them back." I explained that everything had gotten damaged. He said, "Typical. You know, if you weren't such a F up, you wouldn't have had to be put into care anyway. You can pay me back for all that stuff. That's like $600 you owe me." I laughed in his face and said, "No way am I paying you that much. If you really want the PS2 back that badly, I have a slim version you can have, even though I'd like to keep it, even though they were definitely gifts. But I'm not paying you a damn penny." He called me a effing bitch and an asshole, and then stormed out. My grandma said, "Don't worry about him. He'll make sure he won't be around you again." After he stormed out, I only work as a barista, and with the cost of living crisis, I barely have enough money to pay for Christmas presents for everyone this year. $600 is literally unattainable for me, but I'm wondering, am I the asshole? He never said he expected them back, but he never explicitly said they were gifts, only that I could have them, not the asshole. Don't let that man push you around. Oh, don't worry, I won't. Don't give him the PS2 Slim, neither a single dollar. He's testing you. Give a hand, he comes for the arm. I won't. I've decided he ain't getting jack shit from me. Not the asshole. Sounds like he's hard up for money and is trying to take advantage of your now good situation. You were a child, you were never a F up. And the fact that this grown adult would resort to insulting you to try to extort you for money sort of explains why you didn't get to know a loving family until you met your current parents. Maintain your relationship to your grandmother, but ensure he's never around when you visit. He's not a safe man for you to be around. Don't worry, he won't be around me again. My grandma did say. Don't worry about him. He'll make sure he won't around you again. After he stormed out, I just couldn't add that because of the character limit. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.